feel like I've been waiting forever for this cactus flower to bloom. This is my Gymnocalycium saglione, and it has had a bud for quite some time now, and it even has a smaller bud over here. But I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for this to open up, and it looks close. It looks like it's going to be a beautiful white flower. So I'm hoping tomorrow it will bloom, and I'll be able to show you guys. Meanwhile, I wanted to show you a peek at my Opuntia that I restarted, and I wanted to show you these lovely new pads that the bigger pads made. I had popped those into some soil. These were the ones that I planted here, and they're doing well. They're looking good. And but these have brand new pads that they have put up after being trimmed and replanted, and I love how Opuntias look with that kind of new growth where the spines will come out, the glochids. Isn't that pretty, guys? I just love how that looks. So there's a little update for you on my recent Opuntia restarts. And then back here, I have a lovely little Opuntia snow restart. It did well. And the main plant is looking a lot better without all those gangly pads falling over. It also has a new little growth here where it was trimmed. So I'm happy to show you some good updates. And here's where I put my beaver tail cacti cuttings, all potted up. Those are the ones I did last year, looking very tall. And they're in rather smallish containers, so maybe next spring I'll repot those. But these look really good, much, much neater. And I'm even able to fit them over on this side. So I think they'll appreciate the extra sun that this side gets. Well, it's the next day and I'm still waiting for it to open up. I don't think it is a night bloomer. I checked on the internet and I don't think it's a night bloomer, although maybe I will check it again tonight. But it looks like the bloom is going to have to be on my next update for next weekend. But in the meantime, I can show you a couple other things that are happening in the polytunnel. And let me just do a quick scan. Overall, the cacti seem to be happier now that the weather has just cooled off a bit. We had such a hot summer, in the mid to upper 90s for a good part of our summer this year. And I just feel like we usually get up in the 90s for good periods of time, but just really seemed much hotter this year. And we certainly did get a lot more rain, but other than having more humidity, that probably didn't affect the cacti. But it's the heat that I just found really difficult. And I'm not sure that I kept up as much watering as I should. I didn't want to end up overwatering any of the cacti. But the bottom line is they're looking a little less stressed now that it's not as hot. And I've got some things going on over here. I think I have some ants on top of my little moon cactus, my brand new moon cactus. Got this earlier this summer and did this cute little dish garden. And by the way, I do have a little pup on that corncob cactus. Isn't that cute? But I think I have ants, and the reason I say it's ants is they usually bring dirt up to the top of the cactus, and that is oh, there goes one now. So I don't know what's happening there, but it's probably not good for the cactus. So I'm gonna have to come out here and kind of brush them off and hope they didn't do too much damage to my cute little cactus. And then over here, this is the succulent that I took cuttings from my sister, and I watered it yesterday, so it looks a bit messy, but you can see some roots happening here. Here's a little bit of a plant, very tiny succulent growing. And then back here, it has sprouted, I think, 3 new plants from the main stem. And I've gone ahead and removed some of those leaves. So it's still going fine, and in the long run it's going to be more of a clump of plants. So not pretty yet, but expecting it to look much better. And then all of my aloes really like this weather. They've got this fresh green color. They're looking very nice. And I do have my dragon fruit plant up here, my Pachapodium up here. You know, I replanted it because it wasn't really getting too much bigger, and it's still not that much bigger for me. It's been a very slow growing plant, but I guess I should just say I'm happy it's still alive. So the succulents overall at the end here are looking well. And I even have a little dish garden back here that some of the plants are looking nice and plump. And even though they're still a bit purple, the aloes, from the stress of the heat, they're overall looking better. I keep repeating myself. And this, as I had said before in other videos, has been my best aloe recut. This was tall and scraggly. It was called, I named it my atrocious aloe, and it's really become my prettiest aloe. Just so pretty, bright and green. And the star aloe is starting to stretch out in the back. I've got a gasteria back there doing fairly well. That gets sunburned sometimes, so I do keep it in a partially protected location. But everything is looking pretty well, and I have done, as you've seen, some repotting, and I think the plants that I have repotted have appreciated their new setting and appreciated this cooler weather. The Opuntias in particular. And I'll show you again this one that I just get such a kick out of the way these new pads look. They have all these little, they grow all these little spikes. So much fun. Isn't that great, guys? My sister mentioned she thought that cacti kind of have a modern art look. They're very sculptural. And I'd have to agree. And I'm still thinking I might not have gone with pots that are big enough for my desert rose plants, my adeniums, but I don't know, I prefer to err on the side of caution when it comes to having too much wet soil around a succulent plant, especially one that has a caudex that will actually store water, which is down here. So I would say overall I have good updates for you. I am waiting forever for this bloom. I will come out tonight just to make sure it's not a night bloomer, because I know some cereus are, but this is a gymnocalacium. So I just feel like I've been waiting forever for this bud to develop, and maybe it's been waiting for the perfect conditions. Sure has taken a long time, and I don't get too many flowers in my collection. And so this is a highly anticipated bloom, guys. Now, we were looking at my moon cactus on the other end of the polytunnel, and this is the original base for my, I think it was a red moon cactus, and the moon cactus on top died, and I just trimmed it off, and it started putting up these arms. And when it did, once they got to a certain size, I would cut the arms off and tuck them back down into the soil, and I have this whole new plant generated from this one base cutting. This was the base of a grafted plant right here, and this generated all of these cuttings. And so I'm thrilled about that, and it's starting to look nice. It looked kind of oddly shaped before, and now it's starting to look like a nice dragon fruit plant. So guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time. I hope you're in your cactus gardens enjoying yourself too. Bye.